happy Tuesday. I had to catch myself there because usually we stream on Thursdays, but today's an extra special Tuesday stream. So happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on the VS Code live stream. If you're new here, my name is Olivia. I am an advocate on the VS Code team, and roughly every week, sometimes twice a week, like this week, which is an exciting week, we have guests come onto our live stream where we get to showcase really cool extensions and features of VS Code. So I'm really excited for today's guest. But before we dive into that, chat, make sure to say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. That's one of my favorite parts of this, is just seeing where all over the world people are tuning in from. I see that we already have people. Oh, we've got a Prisma team member here. Nice. Hey, Nicholas from Berlin. We've got some people from Mexico, some more from Berlin. Awesome. Very excited to have you all here in the chat. And without further ado, we've already spotlighted the product a little bit that we'll be showing off today. So we have Marc here today from Prisma. Hey, Marc.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for being here. I see we have some of your team members in the chat, which I love. We love having that support. For anyone who might not know about Prisma or might not know about your team, would you want to do kind of a quick intro about who you are and the extension that you work on?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, so my name is Marc. I'm the manager of developer advocacy at Prisma. And Prisma is all about making your database experience easy. We want to make working with databases extremely easy, right? So we have an ORM that we're pretty famous for, that a lot of people in the TypeScript ecosystem use. And then the main thing we're here talking about today is our new database, right? And how that has been integrated into VS Code and the Prisma extension that we built for VS Code. But yeah, our whole goal at Prisma is how can we make people that don't have necessarily the technical experience working with databases or the backend experience, how can we make their lives easier so they can have any idea that they want, and still have that, powerful backend associated with their projects, right? So yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome. I love that. I think anything that helps lower the barrier for people to get started with tech is exactly what should be focused on. It really just helps empower people to get started and not feel like they don't know what to do or that they can't do something that they see other people doing. So really awesome. With that, should we go ahead and get started with the demo then?
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. Awesome. All right. So this is my VS Code. And for some reason in chat you guys can't see, make sure you just say something. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger for you guys. But we're going to go ahead and jump in and show all of the cool features that we've built into the VS Code extension for Prisma, and how that integrates with the new agent mode in VS Code, along with some of the also cool goodies that we have. So if you were to go into the extensions tab, there's a Prisma extension that you can just download. It has 2.5 million installs, which we're very proud of.
Awesome.
The VS Code community is incredible, right? And this is what I'm about to show right now is available to everybody, right? So, and if you have this extension installed, you're able to use it right now. So along with that, I also have this project set up. This is just a basic Next.js project. I use the npx create next app, very basic Next.js 15 app. And let's go ahead and show how I would get a database for this application. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Copilot and make sure I'm swapped over into agent mode here. And the beauty of working with Copilot and Prisma and doing this sort of thing is I don't have to know anything about how to get a database. Like I don't need to know anything right now. All I know is I'm a Next.js dev and I know I need a database, but I don't know how to go about doing that, right? Or even also if you are somebody that is extremely experienced and say you've done this 100 times, you don't want to do it again, right? That's kind of the camp I'm in. I'm like, I've done this so many times, I don't want to do it again. So one of the beauties is I can just ask Copilot here to say, hey, I am building a blog application. Can you, sorry, I get a little nervous typing in front of people. So if I do type,
oh no, I do the same thing. It's like when you're in school and there's like a teacher like looking over your shoulder when you do an exam and you like suddenly blank on everything.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Can you set
while
up
you're doing that, I love that you kind of did the call out of it's great for beginners who don't know what to do, but it's also if you're someone who is experienced, it kind of gives you back some of that time of like those routine tasks that you don't want to like
Yeah,
spend.
very much so. I think that's really like, they say AI is going to take all of our jobs, and I don't necessarily know about that. I think more uh, if it's just a tool, right? And if you've done something so many times, I don't want to have to do this again, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the beauty of being able to use AI to speed up my process, right?
Mhm.
So what I
Absolutely.
did here is I just told Copilot that I'm building a blog application, and then I would like a Prisma Postgres database. And what this is going to do is it's going to go out to um, console.prisma.io through our API, and it's going to create a database on my account. As you can see, it's checking my authentication status, and it's creating a database right now on that account. This can take sometimes it's really fast, sometimes it's slow. I guess it just really depends.
Mhm.
So if there's any questions right now, would probably be a great time to answer them.
Cool.
Or
Yeah, I don't think we have any yet unless I'm missing them. But chat, definitely make sure to drop questions in here as you have them. This is a really great time to just kind of interact. But I do want to call out here as you are kind of watching this demo, you see how it'll be like creating Prisma Postgres database. Those are tools that agent mode is calling. And like Marc said, all you needed to do was have that Prisma extension installed. And then you automatically get these tools in agent mode. So again, just like a really seamless experience. Just sign into Copilot, have the Prisma extension installed, and you have access to all these tools right at your fingertips that it will call to get more of that context.
yeah, and that's actually a really great call out. Another way to notice like what tools you have available that work with Prisma is this little tool icon here. So one, you see all the GitHub Copilot ones, and then you see all the Prisma built-in ones as well, right? So if you're doing something with this and say it doesn't utilize one of the tools properly, you know it exists, and we might show that here in a second, and you can at least call out or give it the context of say, hey, make sure you're using this tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a good way to check to make sure you have everything set up. So okay, so what it did is it created a database for me, and it generated a schema file, which is our way in Prisma and the ORM for you to kind of define your database structure, right? And if you don't know anything about databases design or how to communicate with your database or anything, but say you're a TypeScript developer or a front-end developer, this schema file makes it really easy for you to define the entire structure of your database. So doing that, we're building a blog, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually ask Copilot here to fill in my schema file with some tables for the blog. So I'm going to say, can you create some tables in my database for posts, comments, and users. Typical blog things. I can even also just say, for a blog application and see what it comes up with. But sometimes you might need to add some extra things or whatever. But this should go ahead and it's going to update the schema file, and it's going to create different models here, which is our way of defining kind of a table inside of our schema file. So models is correlated with a table inside of your database, and then each one of these lines here is a field inside of your database. And then it's going to say that it wants us to migrate the database because we've made a change to our schema file, and Copilot is recognizing that and saying, hey, let's run a migration on our database. And what a migration is it's a way to essentially set the state of your database in a way that allows you to roll back to any point. So it's basically, think of it like a history of your database. So every time you run a migration, it creates a new kind of point in history of the structure of your database. And what that really allows is for you and your team members to go back and forth at any point in time. And the beauty of it is Copilot is recognizing, hey, you made a change to your schema. Let's run a migration to update your database. So we're going to go ahead and ask it to do that. So run Prisma migrate dev. See if it does it. So sometimes it does this where it wants you to run the command in the terminal, which you can very well do. That would work just as well. But what I want to do, because we're using agent mode, is we're actually going to tell it to use this tool here by giving it the context. So what I did is I hit add context, I hit tools, I came down, I clicked on this tool here for Prisma migrate dev. And then when I say run migration, it's going to use that context properly. Sometimes when you're working with this, AI is a little finicky, right? So you need to mess with it a little bit. But what it's going to do now is it's going to apply this new change to our database and initialize the kind of the structure of our database with these tables here.
Awesome. Yeah. And Marc, I don't know if you've tried this, but one thing I just remember that can help with this is if you use custom instructions in your project, that can sometimes help with these tool calls too. Because I've seen that similarly. Like I use the Playwright MCP server a lot, and I'll see that where I'll be like, oh, do this thing with Playwright, and it will like create Playwright tests or some of that. I'm like, no, use the tool. And so I create a custom instruction, be like, if I ask you to do this, use the Playwright tool. Sometimes that helps a little bit, but to your exact point, like you need to give more of that context sometimes because it will be like, oh, this is a way to do it, but it might not necessarily be the way you want to do it.
Yeah, very much so. And one thing that you'll find in our documentation at prisma.io/docs is we try to create those files for you. So if you are using one of our tools in for instance, VS Code, there's like kind of project rules and exactly what you're talking about. And you can give it that context so it knows. I just didn't have that set up in here.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to do a shameless plug for that feature.
yeah, of course. So cool. So that worked, but like, how do we know it worked, right? So one of the really cool things about the Prisma extension is we have this little Prisma icon right here, right? And you can click that. I'm gonna actually have to refresh it here, but what this allows you to do is visualize or see all of the databases on your Prisma account. We also have local databases. So if you were running our local version of our Prisma database, you would also be able to see that here, but we're running a remote version. So you can see my organization, my project, and then my development version of the database that the agent set up for me. And what's really cool is if I click this, I'm going to be able to open up our tool called Prisma Studio, and we'll be able to see, our database inside of VS Code. So right here we have kind of a visual interface for our database. And this goes back to the thing we were talking about earlier, where we want to make databases really easy for people, right? We don't want you to have to worry about running queries to check if things work or whatever. We have a visual tool for you, for those people that don't necessarily want to have to run queries. And as you can see here, we have our migrations table, which is keeps track of all the migrations that we ran. So we just ran a migration, so it has a row in here. We have our user table, our post table, and our comment table. And each one of these has the columns that are associated with the same fields inside of our model here. What's also really cool about Studio is we have this visualizer tool, which allows you to kind of see the visual structure of your database and allows you to see the relationships between the different things inside of your database.
I love this UI. This is such a good UI.
Yeah, this is actually pretty brand new. So I'm excited to show it off. Yeah, it's we've been working very, very, very hard on this.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, really nice to use. And the cool thing about this is it's I could insert data directly through here too if I wanted to, right? But we're going to jump into kind of seeding the database here in a second. But yeah, so through the Prisma extension, you're able to use the Studio. You're also able to manage your database. If I wanted to delete the database, run migrations, whatever it is, you could do that all through the Prisma extension inside of VS Code, which is something that wasn't possible, I want to say, a few weeks ago. So
wow,
we've been pumping out a lot of really cool new features for this.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like if you're not someone who's worked with databases a lot, like what you're showing right now looks so simple, but like I feel like we need to take it back to like what this like traditionally would look like, right? You would be Googling a bunch of docs to figure out how you even get started. You'd be bouncing in between your editor and between your diagrams and between your database management software. Like you would have 12,000 things open at once in order to do all this. And like you literally just showed all this with 3 prompts and 1 extension and in VS Code. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's really insane to think about. I mean, I've been using VS Code myself for like, I don't even know how long, very, very, very long time. And it's insane to think about the changes it's gone through and now everything that it's capable of. And for us to be able to create an extension for our users to use, and have it all just, like you said, integrated into VS Code, so you don't have to use any other tools. Like that's huge, and it creates so much efficiency for all the developers out there, and anybody that's just like getting started with development too, because of the AI tools. Now everything's built into VS Code, so you don't have to really worry about learning anything else. It's really nice.
There was one question asking if this works for MySQL as well.
Same will be for MySQL. So we don't have a Prisma version of MySQL, but VS, I'm sorry, not VS Studio, Prisma Studio, that tool does work with MySQL. So yes, you will be able to use Prisma Studio with MySQL, but it wouldn't have the same kind of, I guess, integration that we're showing right here with Prisma Postgres, which is our hosted version of our database. But you'll also be able to use Prisma Studio inside of VS Code with MySQL and all that stuff. It just wouldn't log you in the same way and things like that. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it doesn't. I'll try to be more clear. Yeah, of course. Cool. So we're going to jump in. We have a database set up now. We have all of our tables, but there's no way of us like kind of testing things. And I think this is one of the next really cool things about using Copilot, using AI to do all this stuff is generating seed scripts for your database. Normally, to test out things, you either have to manually input a bunch of data or you have to create a seed file or something like that. But the beauty of Copilot and doing this is it can read our schema file here and just generate basically fake data for us. So we're going to say, can you create just seed data for our database so that we can test it. And let's just see what it does based on that. I think that should be a good enough prompt. We'll see. Sometimes, it depends on the prompt you give it, but yeah, so it's going to create a seed.ts file, which is exactly what it needs to do. And then it's going to, so this seed.ts file is basically, so it's going to be filling our database with data. And if I go ahead and hit continue here, it's going to open up my terminal here and it's going to run the seed script. So now it says a seed script has been created to populate your database with the test user posts and comments. I am now running the script. Once you complete your database, we'll have the sample data. So again, we can go back into our database here and see if the data was inserted properly. Sorry, it's just so big. I just need to
get some screen real estate back.
So it doesn't look like it worked, right? And it might be like, why didn't it work? Let me refresh just to double check. So this is the beauty of using Copilot and doing this. Like I don't even have to figure out why this didn't work. I can just say, hey, this didn't work.
I love doing that. I'm just like, no, you didn't do it.
Yeah, can you double check for me and see what it does?
They're like, let me know if you have any issues. I was like, my issue is it didn't work.
Rerun the seed script and check for errors. Let's see if it does anything. It looks like it found some errors. Maybe we'll see what it says. Oh, and we need to install the Prisma client. So this is the beauty of all this, right? It tells you exactly what you have to do, and you don't have to think about it. So any user out there that is just working with working with these tools and needs a database, GitHub Copilot is just going to walk you through the entire experience. So it installed a bunch of stuff. It realized, oh, this stuff isn't set up properly. It might be getting hung right now on something about our new client generation output path, which means I need to change this file setting here. But this isn't really, it really is an important part of the demo, but I can fix this really quick. If there's any questions, this might be a good time to
here's one that actually might be very relevant. So they said, sometimes I get the answer, but with an old version of Prisma, is there a way that AI can update to the new answer? In their case, it repeatedly gives the old answer.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So inside of our documentation, we actually have an LLMs.txt file. So what you can do is you can point whatever LLM you're using towards that text file. It's prisma.io/docs/LLMs.txt. And we also have a full version, which is LLMs-full.txt. And if you point your LLM at that, it should be able to find the most recent version of our documentation, thus using the newest version of things. If that doesn't work, always reach out to us on Twitter and we will definitely help you for sure. But I think that should generally work relatively well because, like you said, AI doesn't update, as consistently. But those LLM files, that's how we're trying to keep AI updated, right?
Yeah, that's really smart to do that that way because I feel like that's one of the like recurring feedback we get with AI in general is okay, but it doesn't have this most recent doc. It doesn't have this, so it's not helping me. And now I have to go look at the docs anyway. So I love to hear that you guys have already kind of proactively thought of the best way to get around that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much from Vietnam.
Let's see if I can get this to sort itself out here.
I feel like this is a good right. This is all live, folks. Like this is very much like what happens when you're using AI. Like I kind of like when things like this happen during demos because it kind of gives you a chance to be like, okay, how would I troubleshoot this? How can I know if like agent mode is maybe not doing what it should be doing? What steps should I take? And like Marc kind of mentioned, like seems like we're kind of getting in a loop here. Like you will see that sometimes with agent mode. And in that case, you kind of gotta just like okay, let's.
Yeah, see, whenever it hits this, I normally just say, okay, we've gone
too far
now, so I'm just gonna undo a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Just gonna undo everything we did, and let's restart here.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta reset.
Yeah, so and this is also to the person that just asked this question around like AI being outdated. This is the problem we're running into right now is because of that, because we actually changed something in one of the most recent versions of Prisma. And the LLM that's being used right now, which is GPT 4.1, doesn't actually have that information. So it's trying to do something that doesn't actually work anymore. So now I'm also trying to fix it live. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get the C script to work properly right this second. But I don't know if that's really necessarily important. The cool thing about what we were doing was it generated a C script based on our schema file. Which is something that normally is a pain in the butt. That's what I was trying to show. So,
it very much
that did end up working, which is nice. And then the like I said, the really cool part about this is being able to use the agent mode, open up Studio inside of your VS Code extension and see your database, see the visual version of your database, and go from there. But that's pretty much the demo. There's not really much else to do other than continuing to interact with Copilot as you're building things, asking it for different tables or asking it to create different tests for you, things like that. One of the beauties of it too is you could ask it to like create all your API endpoints for you, right? So you don't have to worry about doing that kind of stuff. But that kind of gets out of the realm of Prisma, and that's more about the framework that you're using and things like that. So I didn't really want to jump into that, but yeah, that's kind of the demo of how you can utilize VS Code to interact with Prisma and all of the different ways that you can do that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that this is a really cool way to show how an extension that probably 2.5 million people are using it, right? And a lot of people probably don't know that you can use it right with Copilot too. So if you've been using it and you love it, try out the AI integration as well. See if that helps, you either get started or like Marc was saying, take out, some of those routine tasks that you don't want to do, like seeding your database. And yeah, always a plug that Copilot is called Copilot for a reason. You are still the pilot. So sometimes you may need to intervene and kind of make sure it's still going on the right track. And again, this goes back to Marc, I think what you literally started this whole session off with is that AI is a tool, use it, but it's just another tool in your tool set. It's not perfect, but it will hopefully help kind of get you there. And I love seeing the UI that's in here with Prisma Studio. It makes it so easy, just kind of visualize how your tables work, and all of this just kind of, right, you didn't write any code to get this to happen. Like you just asked for this database schema to be created, and here we are. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's when the team showed me this, I was like, holy crap, that's really cool. Yeah, no, it's neat.
I love when that happens, when you just like genuinely really like love the product. Like that's when you're at the right team. And it's really cool when you see that. Cool. And I know you mentioned, so it looks like we're showing the extension on the screen right now. I know you mentioned the docs as well that people can look to for the most recent. So it looks like we have that prisma.io/docs. So make sure to head to that. Is there anywhere, like if people want to submit feedback, what's the best place for people to get that to you?
Sure. Yeah, there's so if you just want to communicate to the developer advocates directly, you can always join our Discord. That you can go to pris.ly, so PRIS.ly /Discord, and that will take you directly to our Discord.
Cool.
And that allows you to communicate with me and my team directly. But if you have more, like say you run into a official issue or things like that, you can always go to our GitHub, of course, and submit issues directly there as well.
Awesome.
Or reach out to us on Twitter. We're very, very active on Twitter. Or I'm sorry, X. We're very active on
No,
X.
you will never beat Twitter out of me. It's always
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah. We basically monitor anytime people talk about Prisma, and we try very hard to reach out and respond to people. So yeah, if you have any questions, always reach out. We're here to help. We want to make it easy for you to use databases. That's our whole goal, right? So we don't want that to be a block in, oh, I have this really cool idea, but I don't know how to do the database part. Well, we're trying to remove that from you, right? So
Yeah.
Reach out. We're here to help. We love brainstorming ideas. We love helping you solve problems, whatever it is. And yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Marc, so much for being on. I loved getting to see this. I know we had a lot of love in the chat, a lot of viewers from all over the world. We really appreciate your time here to show off the Prisma extension and everything you can do with it to, like you said, help make developers' lives easier and take that piece out when they want to get started with an application.
Thanks, Olivia. Thanks for having me. It was a great time, and I look forward to coming back and showing you the next version of all the cool stuff.
Yes, I love it. Let's do it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, chat, thank you so much as always for being here. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can catch up on any future live streams like one we'll have again with Marc in the future. And then you can also catch this one on demand. So if you missed out on any of this demo, it will be available on demand right away on our YouTube channel. So you can catch up on that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone, and happy coding.